Okay, so the mother of all questions. How do we come up with your idea that's going to land you a TEDx talk and get your message out into the world? I've interviewed dozens of TEDx organizers from all over the world, and over again, I ask them, what's the most important thing? What is the biggest contributor to someone getting on the TEDx stage versus someone getting turned away? And over again, unequivocally, across the board, they say the number one contributing factor is your idea. Not just an idea, not just something that you're passionate about, but something compelling, concise, something you can communicate in a beautiful, succinct way that hooks a TEDx organizer, and therefore they know it's going to hook their audience too. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 3-step process to coming up with a beautiful, noteworthy TEDx idea that you're passionate about that you can get on the stage and share with the world. Okay, step number 1. Actually, you know what? This is pre-step number 1. We're gonna get into the 3 steps, but pre-step number 1, let me start with this. We need to get rid of the questions that might be going through your head right now that are usually going through a lot of people's heads. These are the questions I get asked all the time by people trying to come up with their idea. Here's those questions. What should I talk about? What do people want to hear? What's gonna get the most views? Those 3 questions do not belong in this section. These do not belong in your realm of thinking for what you should talk about at TEDx. Why? Well, there's 100 reasons why. Number 1 is because this TEDx talk is much more than a video. It's much more than like a flash in the pan online. This TEDx talk could be your legacy. The TEDx talk that I did 7 years ago, my first ever public speech ever, that only has 50,000 views, that TEDx talk is still generating speaking engagements for me to this day. Why? Because I was super passionate about the topic, and it's so important that you're passionate about the topic because I would still be getting, if I wasn't passionate about it, I'd be getting speaking inquiries and people wanting to do business with me on a topic that I wasn't passionate about. I didn't think about what people wanted to hear. I didn't think about what would be great in the news. I thought about what is in me, what is burning inside me, in my heart and my head, and needs to get out into the world, and that needs to be the core of your idea, not what you should talk about. So now that those questions are out of the way, let's move to the 3 steps to coming up with your TEDx idea. Now, what I want you to do is picture this. You can have a pen and paper with you, and you would draw 3 circles that overlap each other in the middle. This is like a super Venn diagram, okay? So in one of the circles, you're gonna write down meets an unmet need. In another one of the circles, you're gonna write down domain of authority or expertise. And the other circle, you're gonna see something I'm passionate about. So I've just kind of skipped ahead and given you all 3 steps, but how this works is the overlap, the combination, the nucleus of those 3 items, that is going to form your TEDx talk. And let's go through them one by one, okay? Number 1, meets an unmet need. So you need to think a little bit outside the box. You gotta think, if everyone in the world heard this talk or heard this, subject matter that you wanna talk about, what would happen? For me, my talk was called How to Build a School in 3 Hours, okay? The unmet need was that there are billions of children that do not have access to basic education. The need that I wanted to meet was supplying them with basic education. So what is the unmet need that you are going to meet? That's number 1. Now, number 2 is domain of authority, your expertise. What are you an expert on? What are you passionate about? What have you been doing for the last 3, 5, 15, 20, whatever it is, years with your life? I want to quote someone. His name is Mark. He's the organizer of TEDx San Diego. He has helped organize over 27 TEDx events. He's overseen over 27 TEDx events and helped pick over 1,000 TEDx speakers. This guy is like the guru of TEDx organizers. This is the guy who knows what TEDx organizers are looking for. And he said one of the most important things that he looks for in a speaker is that they are practicing their passion. Okay, so in your domain of authority, your expertise, it can't be something that you're just kind of passionate about, but you've never done anything with. Okay, for Mark's events, he wants to see how have you been practicing that passion? How have you been putting it into action? How have you been working with it over and over again to make you the expert on that subject? So this is something you've been doing for years. You could be a therapist, you'd be a coach, you'd be a football player, whatever it is. The domain of expertise is what you've been doing for years, and you've been practicing at it, and you become an expert at it. Okay? Now, number 3 is something you're passionate about. And this goes back to the beginning. This is, again, not what you should talk about, not what people want to hear. It's something that when you get on stage, here's the thing. You could land a TEDx talk by putting fancy wording on what you think people should talk about, but when you get on stage, the only way that your talk is going to spread to millions of people, like Kevin's did, the only way it's going to spread to that many people is if you are completely passionate about it. If you feel the highs, you feel the lows, you feel the angries, you feel the sads, you feel all of those on stage, and the only way that you're gonna feel those is if you're completely passionate about your topic. So, to summarize, coming up with your idea, 3 steps. Number 1, get very clear on the need that your topic, that your talk will meet. Number 2, get really clear on your domain of authority. What are you an expert at? And number 3, get really clear on what you are passionate about. When those three things meet, magic happens, TEDx talks happen, and impact happens. Good luck with that. Let me know how it goes.